and a big thank you to the University Teaching Society for your kind invitation for me to participate in this important meeting. Now, I've been asked to share with you briefly some of the insights we gained from an intensive series of roundtable meetings that we conducted in Gaza, Jerusalem, Ramallah, Nablus, and Hebron over a 23-month period just before the pandemic struck. The participants in these meetings were political leaders representing the major factions, as well as some of the smaller political groups, including independents. Business leaders and youth leaders also participated. The aim of the meetings was to identify the problems and challenges facing the Palestinian people, and more important, how best these could be addressed. Now, I'm sure you will not be surprised to hear that among all the groups, it was widely accepted that 90% of the problems and challenges that the Palestinian people are facing right across the occupied territories were due directly to the ongoing Israeli occupation. Now, as I said, there was quite a diversity among the participants, and yet there was a broad agreement on certain issues. And the first of these was the need for a Palestinian national strategy, a national strategy that was the result of an inclusive process, bringing together leaders from all the factions, plus the business community and youth leaders. And the intention of this strategy would be to see how to effectively address the ongoing occupation. Also stressed was the importance of rejuvenating the Palestinian political system. To do this, it was recognized that there was a need to develop democratic structures and to reinvigorate the Palestinian Legislative Council. The need for education reform was also stressed, so that the education sector could be brought in line with the needs of the Palestinian economy, and by doing so, give the chances of better employment for young graduates coming out of university and to reduce the high levels of unemployment. Also, the significance of economic legislative reform to provide a more hospitable environment for the support and growth of small and medium-sized enterprises was seen as an extremely important and urgent step if the social and economic situation in the territories was to change. And lastly, the importance of greater youth involvement in Palestinian politics and policy making, because it was seen that the marginalization of youth, the continued marginalization, can lead to serious problems in the future. Now, during the course of the discussions, it became clear that the biggest obstacle to progress on the political, educational, and economic fronts is the lack of unity. A lack of unity fueled by the rivalry, especially between the two main factions, and the exclusion of smaller factions and independent political figures, as well as the exclusion of youth and leaders of the private sector. Faction policies, it was claimed, are frequently divorced from the views and concerns that are central to the health of the Palestinian economy and wider society. As a consequence, we found a widespread disillusion with politics, which is perceived by many of the participants, or was perceived by many of the participants, to be dominated by individuals who place their own interests ahead of the Palestinian cause. Now, I stress, these are the findings of the participants of the groups, so it's important that you understand that I'm only reflecting these findings. Political leaders, it was felt, lacked the essential focus to alleviate the mounting social and economic pressures on the lives of many Palestinians. The small, medium enterprises in particular, despite constituting the bulk of the Palestinian economy, feel unsupported by both the PA and Hamas leadership in Gaza. In the West Bank, the dominance of monopolies, restricting the ability of SMEs to grow and prosper, and thereby limiting the opportunities for employment, was also stressed, and the need, therefore, to restrict these monopolies and to give space for other initiatives and other developments was seen as extremely important. It was also felt that emergency relief and aid is a short-term measure that in the long term risks hindering economic growth. To get the economy off the ground, business leaders stressed the need for loans, not aid. A donor-based economy, rather than one based on loans, hampers economic development by undermining individual initiatives and consolidating political control over the opportunities provided. Providing loans rather than aid, it was believed, require a significant shift by the international community as well as the leadership in Ramallah and in Gaza. Now, switching from economy to education. The education system, as I mentioned previously, was felt to be poorly aligned with the demands of the local labour market, resulting in high graduate unemployment and contributing to a stagnating economy. There was a widespread recognition for the need for the education system to better prepare young Palestinians for work, thus the need for reform in the system itself. Now, I understand that some reforms have already begun, but certainly not at the pace in order to meet this gap, or to fill this gap, and therefore improve the economic situation. These are the findings of the meetings that took place, as I said, over 3 years ago. Unfortunately, little has changed for the better, and in fact, the economic, social, and political situation has grown worse. Change will not happen unless there is a major mindset shift by the present leadership both in Ramallah and Gaza. Hopefully, the insights that come from your discussions today will help effect that change. This will only happen if you are willing to build a consensus around the need for change. It's true, 90% of the challenges you face as Palestinians in the occupied territories, in every aspect of your life, are due to the ongoing Israeli occupation. It is what you achieve with the 10% under your control that can restore a sense of agency to the Palestinian people. Thank you for your attention.